Hey, hi everyone. This is Rajesh. So thank you for joining the session. And let me see how many people we have. Nine, right? Okay. So there were lots of the registrations. Maybe they'll join later. So I think almost everyone knows me, right? But those who don't know, let me just quickly introduce myself. So I'm Rajesh. I am an Android developer having a around 5 years of experience building Android as well as the mobile applications. And apart from that, I write content on LinkedIn as well, and I'm an active open source contributor as well. So today, today's session, let me clear the agenda for today's session. So this is kind of an open-ended session, and uh, we'll discuss about anything, any question you have related to Android or anything related to interview or job or anything in general you can ask, and I'll try to provide the answer. You can ask in whatever language you are comfortable with, be it a Hindi or English. Only twos because I don't know other local languages. Okay, so just try to ask your question in English or Hindi, and I'll try to answer it accordingly in the same language. So, and if you have any question, you can just raise your hand, and once you raise your hand, I'll unmute you, and then you can ask your question. So we'll go turn by turn. Once, let's say, Mayur is asking question. Okay, so once his turn is finished, you can just raise your hand whenever you want to ask question, and we'll go kinds of in a turn by turn manner. Okay, so we'll start. We have 13 participants, right? So I'll start taking the questions now. Again, it's a kinds of a general whatever you have in related to development or job or whatever you may want to ask. This is kinds of an open-ended session, and there is no predefined fixed schema. Okay, so with that being said, everyone is mute, right? So we can't get introduce yourself. Hmm. Okay, so first of all, anyone wants to introduce themselves in the session itself? We'll go for the 5 minutes for the introduction. So anyone wants to introduce yourself, just raise your hand, and then I'll allow your mic access. Just raise your hand. Uh, uh, okay, yes, Mayur, please. Hello, yes, Mayur, you can introduce yourself. Hello, am I audible? Can anyone confirm in a chat if I am audible or not? Audible. Okay, cool. So, okay, thank you. So everyone has access to mic, right? Okay, so anyone can speak now. And if you have any questions, you can ask. So otherwise, but I am unable to mic. I have enabled your mic. So not sure. Okay, anyone else can try to enable because I have enabled the mic for,
Okay,
yeah. So
can you hear me?
Vaibhav, yes,
Okay.
Vaibhav, we are able to hear you.
Okay, hi everyone. Myself Vaibhav Patil. Currently just started with the third year and I have been learning Android development for a while.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Vaibhav. Anyone else wants to introduce themselves in the session?
Hi Rajesh, this is Narala Shivakumar.
Yes. Hi,
Yeah, yeah,
hi
hi.
Shiva.
Yeah, I have overall 5 years of experience in Android development and React Native both, so I can able to handle both the Android application and React Native application as well.
Mm-hmm. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you, Shiva. Okay. Anyone else want to introduce themselves?
Yeah, hi everyone. Myself Satya Selvin. I am from Tamil Nadu and I have 1 years of experience in Android development.
Okay, thank you, Satya. Satya, right? Satya, if just pardon me if I'm not able to correctly pronunciate.
Yeah,
Okay,
no issues.
okay. Anyone else? I have allowed mic access to everyone. Uh, so everyone, Mayur is not able to. I'm not sure why, because everyone else is able to uh, speak. Mm, okay, fine. Cool. So now let's go with the kinds of questions. If you have anything to ask, you can ask. Otherwise, I will simply what should we go with? Because this is kinds of a raw session. Okay, I have no preparations and all those kinds of things. So this is kinds of will go directly raw. So that will be a better session as well. So anyone wants to ask anything? Any question? Vaibhav. Yes, Vaibhav.
So my question is regarding coroutines.
Okay.
So in coroutines, when we have like we make some function suspend because there is a point in the function where some task will take some time, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
question is, when we say that the task will take time, so is our system doing some work at that time or just waiting? Like, for example, when we make a network call, so is our system doing some work or is it just waiting? That's why we suspend that coroutine over there and move ahead. Or because it is doing work which will take time, so we just move it to a different thread. What is it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me answer your question. But first, for those who joined recently, if you have any question, you can just raise your hand and then we'll go turn by turn. Okay, so to answer your question, in the coroutine context, let's say you are making a network request and then you make you mark your function as a suspend function, right? So what happens is coroutines are kinds of a concurrency mechanism. So your system, see, that's why we have the concept of the coroutines. Your system will continue working, but let me go it like this way. So let's start with the threads, okay, to get a more understanding on these things. So at a if you talk about the hardware level, there are the processor threads, right, and processor cores. Let's say you have a 5 cores or 8 core processor. So if you have, I'm audible correctly, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's, if you have a 8 core processor, that means you are able to do 8 tasks simultaneously. Okay, the number of the cores is the number of the task your CPU can perform simultaneously. If you have 4 cores, you at a time you will only be able to perform 4 tasks. Okay, now coming to operating system threads. So operating system threads are implemented at a OS level. Okay, let's say Windows or a Mac or a Linux, whatever. So these threads are something that you're because threads is important, right? And what threads is basically kinds of, you can say, unit of a work, and it will perform its work without blocking the main thread or other thread. So these threads are implemented at operating system level, and OS is aware about them. Okay, now coming one step ahead, we have Java threads. Okay, so what the Java threads is, Java threads is basically a wrapper over the OS threads. Okay, so basically what Java did is Java created those classes and all those things that wrap the operating system thread. So when you create a thread in Java, your operating system knows that new threads is created, and when you need to switch between the threads, operating system needs to switch between them, because Java threads are basically wrapper over the OS thread. So this is the answer to another question as well, that why coroutines are lightweight and Java threads are expensive. Because let's say if you need to switch the context between Java threads, you need to go at the operating system level and you need to ask it. You don't do that, but JVM will do it for you, and it will ask the OS to switch the context. So that's why they are the expensive. Okay, now coming to the coroutines. So what is a coroutines? Coroutines is basically again structured concurrency. The concurrency here, concurrency is a structured here, structured in the terms that we have parents and we have childs, and if you cancel the parents, all the childs will be cancelled as well. So this is kinds of the structure concurrency mechanism is implemented by the coroutines. So now what happens with the coroutines is why they are lightweight, because coroutines are implemented at the language level. Okay, and the language is controlling it. Ultimately we as a programmer controlling the coroutines, and when we need to switch the context between coroutines and all those things, so we Kotlin don't need to go and ask the OS to switch the context between the coroutines. Okay, Kotlin can do it internally. So that's why they are the lightweight, and you can launch a lots of them. Although you don't need to. This is something we probably see, right? That you can launch a millions of the coroutines. That's fine, but you in a real application you don't even need to launch that much coroutines. Okay, now coming to your question, whether your operating system is doing any work or it's just sitting ideal. So what happens is ultimately, see, internally coroutines will need to use the threads, right? Because threads are at the fundamental level. Even at the operating system level, threads are there. So what coroutines need to do is internally they will need to use the threads. But what they will do is we have some concept of the thread pool in Java. So what thread pool is, it's a kinds of you create a pool of the threads, and let's say 10 or 20 or whatever thread pools, and now you keep that pool active. Okay, you don't just destroy that thing. So whenever you need to do new work, you just pick a thread from that and assign the work to it. So essentially coroutines at the implementation level use the threads only. But the thing is, when you suspend any coroutines, your main thread will be working. Okay, your coroutines that is running on the background thread, by default it won't run, you need to make it run. But to make it simple, your coroutines that is running on the another thread will continue working, and your main thread will become free. So when your main thread will become free, it can do whatever it needs to do. So let's take an example of the Android. So let's say you are making the network request, right? And you need to update the UI as well. So UI updation is always done at the main thread. So when you create a coroutines that make the network request, your network request will be what to say, your network request will be transferred to the background thread that is running that coroutines, and your main thread will be free to update the UI. Update the UI means it's not that you just update any value. Let's say if I touch the screen, right, that should be intercepted by the main thread as well. That key user has touched on this point or this point or this point. So main thread should be free, always should be free for these kinds of things. So your main thread will be free, but it won't sit ideal. It will just do perform its work. Key like it needs to what to say, decide these kinds of get the response from the OS that user has touched on this screen or user has click on this button or whatever. So main thread will do its duty, and your background thread containing the coroutines will perform the network request. Once the request is done, your coroutines will again transfer the control to the main thread. So your main thread will show your network data and all those things. So basically it won't just sit ideal, but it will continue working whatever else it needs to do. Okay.
Okay, so like we just free the main thread and do the work on some other background thread.
Right. We do just like that. Your main thread
Oh,
should be free to handle other operation it's supposed to do.
like let's say for example we use the delay function to like
Mm,
mock the network delay. So
mm.
during that time, what work is exactly being done? Like, does that delay function also needs like thread to use, or we can just leave
See,
it?
so see, what happens is again delay. If you use a delay, that thread, the thread that containing the coroutines will simply sit ideal. In case of delay, it won't do any work. But your main thread is not running that thing. If your main thread is running that, then even your main thread will just simply sit
Okay,
if you
okay.
use
So,
the delay function.
okay, got it. But so like when we make network calls, is our
Mm,
thread whichever thread we make, let's say any background thread, we make call
mhm,
from background thread. So is that
mm.
thread sitting idle to get a response, or what is happening?
Yep, that the thread that is see in a coroutines it's a bit different. Okay, so if you use a Java threads directly, so what happens is while your network request is going on, the background thread that is executing it will be acquired. Okay, will be just waiting for the network response. But in a case of a coroutines, it's not like that. Coroutines can run on only single thread. Coroutines may continue its operation on another thread as well. Let's say you may start coroutines on a one thread A, and it may continue its operation on thread B as well. So in case of a coroutines, it's not like that. The thread will just simply sit. It can continue running other coroutines as well. That's what my understanding is about the coroutines. But if you definitely if you use the Java thread, then the background thread that is doing the network request will wait.
Like for so my main doubt is like when we say like the when we use suspend function if at some point there is a suspension point. So when that
Mhm,
suspension point is arrived, the coroutine is suspended, right? We say.
mhm,
So
mhm.
what do we mean by that coroutine is suspended?
Okay, so coroutine is suspended, that the transfer of the execution is just simply control of the execution is just simply transferred from your caller thread to the coroutines that the thread that is running that coroutines. It's not like we are suspending, means we are halting it. We are just transferring the control.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. It answered your question, right?
Yes, yes, totally.
Okay, cool, great. Yep. Anyone else has any question? You may simply raise your hand, and I can try to answer it. Anything related to Android or in general, or just like Vaibhav asked, Kotlin, DSA, whatever. Mm, okay, yes, Maulik. Hello. Yes, just wait, Maulik. uh I'll need to give you an access, right? Where is a Maulik? Mm, just a sec. Like, where it's going? Yeah, yes, Maulik, you have mic access. Let me provide it to
Yeah,
everyone so everyone can speak. Yes, please.
yeah. Thank you, Rajesh, for allow to speak me.
Yep.
So my question is like there is a dispatcher in coroutines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like what exactly dispatchers are? Like I have read somewhere its main purpose is like to shift the like to shift between the like threads. I guess if we
Mm-hmm.
do some task. Um, Want to do tasks in background and want to get result in the UI thread, then it will be easier with the dispatcher. So my main
Mm-hmm.
question is like there are confusing dispatchers. One is dispatcher.io and one
Mm-hmm.
is like default or main. Main I know, but I guess default. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the main difference between these two? Dispatcher.io and there is another one as well. Like do you remember that dispatcher that mostly requires mostly used for the either background or the disk task. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the main difference between them?
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yes. So dispatcher is in an essence, to start from the beginning. Let's say we have multiple types of operation. Let's say we want to compute some operation on a CPU. Okay, so for that we have some specialized threads that is designed to work on a computing work. We have some specialized threads that are designed to work on a input output operations. Okay, IO threads, you can say in the Java terms it's IO threads. So IO simply means input or output device, whatever. So whether it's a reading from the database, or whether it's making a network request, or whether it's a reading from the local disk. So IO operations is involved in all of these things, right? So there are some special threads created for this that are specialized for this task. So whether it's a computing task or input output task, or those kinds of things. Okay, so these are the threads. Now coming to the dispatcher. So dispatcher is basically where your coroutines will run. Okay, whether your coroutines will run on some threads that are specialized for the computing, or whether it will run on some threads that are specialized for the IO operations. So dispatcher in essence is simply where your coroutines will run. So if you want to, let's say, if you want to execute a task, let's say reading from the room database. Okay, so this is IO operation, right? So what you can do, you can launch your coroutines on a IO dispatcher. So that means your coroutines will run on the threads that are specifically designed for the IO operations. If you use if you just want to what to say, if you just want to use the coroutines that are let's say for computing and all those things, you can launch it on a dispatcher.default. So this will run on a threads that are optimized for the CPU computing operation. Okay, so this is the different. And we have another thing called a main, right? So main is I think main is not in yep. So main is in Android world, the main is your Android main thread. And in JVM, the dispatcher dot main is, I believe, I'll need to check the documentation once, but as far as I remember, the main represent the Java's the main thread where your Java program is running. So this is the concept of the dispatcher, and this is the difference between them.
Okay, so basically there are three dispatchers, three that main, default, and IO, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, IO defaults and main. So default is something I believe for what to say, this kinds of CPU operations. A main will represent your main thread, and IO is something you can run your operations on a thread that are specialized for the IO operations.
Okay. So for IO, we can do database as well and network call as well.
Yes, you can do anything because these are the input out operation.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, welcome. Mm, okay. Any question? Okay. Who's next? Okay. So we have question from the Mayur and Ekta. Yes, Mayur, please. Ekta, I'll just come to you. Huh? Hello, Mayur. You can speak. You have mic access.
He's saying not able to unmute.
Uh, I'm not sure what the issue is because I have enabled mic for him. And so maybe what you can do, you can just simply send your question here in the chat, and I'll try to answer. Okay, meanwhile we'll go with the next question. Who is the next questioner? Ekta. Yes, Ekta, please. And
Am I
one thing,
audible?
yes, just a sec. One thing, once your question is answered, just lower down your hand so I can have an idea. Okay, you can ask your question now.
Okay. So actually, I heard about that Kotlin multiple. So even
Hmm.
I've tried it. So right
Hmm.
now we can use Kotlin for multiple platform like Android or some web and also. So how it is
Hmm.
different? Like yeah, it's quite different with the Flutter. But I wanted to know about the market capture. Like
Hmm.
how fruitful should we move for Kotlin multi-platform, or like the Flutter is also having some great pros which can
Hmm.
overcome KMM. So I wanted to know about and get to know more clarity over it.
Okay, so your question is mainly related to kinds of Flutter, between Flutter and KMM.
Yes.
Uh, okay, so a lot of people has this question, and recently I got a question about the Flutter as well as a React Native, and another thing was Compose multi-platform as well. So
Mhm.
what happens is in case of a Flutter versus KMM, I can say in a 2 points. let's say if you want to build something production level application, okay, as of now you just want to build something production level application. So what you should do is you should definitely go for the Flutter as of now. Why? Because Flutter is a tried and tested, right? Flutter is a battle tested framework that is being used in lots of applications for the multi-platform. And the GPay is the best example of it, right? Google GPay is entirely built in a Flutter. So as of now, if you want to build the production level application, Flutter is a better. On the other side, KMM, right? So KMM is something that is I'm hoping high on the KMM. That's why I'm not learning Flutter, because the benefits of the KMM is, if you go with the Flutter, you will need to learn the Dart, and you will need to learn the components that are related to Flutter and all those concepts, right? And it's a still not native. It's a kinds of it converts to a bit of a native code, but I what I have seen is the performance is not, if you don't have a large team like Google, the performance won't match the native performance. Okay, so if you have a team scale just like the Google, so you can make it performative as well. But if you are a single developer, it would be difficult for you to match the native performance using the Flutter. On the other
Yes.
hand, the best thing with the Kotlin is, if you are an Android developer, you already know Kotlin, right? So only single language is there to build for any kinds of platform, be it a Windows or Linux or Mac or Android or iOS or whatever. So that is the one thing. And if you want to explore, KMM is still in a growing phase, right? So as of now, what
Yes.
you can do, you can start learning the KMM. And definitely I can, what I can see based on my experience is it has a good and a great future, because Kotlin is a promising language as well. What they have shown is a pretty standard. The one thing you can understand by the influence of the Kotlin is, when the Kotlin was designed, it was built on it was built on the design decisions taken by the Java, right? But what now we see, what the trend is, Java is building based on the design decisions that is taken by the Kotlin. So we definitely know Kotlin has a great feature. So definitely KMM will have a great future as well. And another thing is, so what I would recommend is, if you are just building for now, go with the Flutter. Otherwise, just keep learning KMM, and it will be good at some point of time in future. Another thing is, KMM and Flutter is not comparable, okay? Because a Flutter is a UI framework, right? And KMM has nothing to do with the UI. KMM is just about sharing the business logics across the platforms. It has nothing to do with the UI, and Flutter is a purely UI framework. So what you can compare is Flutter versus Compose multi-platform, because JetBrains is making Compose multi-platform a great feature. And it has a alpha support for the iOS as well. So Compose is a UI framework and Flutter is UI framework as well. So you can compare both of these things. But definitely what I believe in the long run is KMM is going to win in terms Flutter won't be eliminated or eradicated. Okay, people will definitely use it. But if you know the Kotlin, your choice definitely should be KMM with Compose multi-platform.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep, welcome. uh okay, who's next? Satya Shelvid. Yes, please.
Yeah. So my question is a scenario-based question.
Yep.
So let's say we have an app that fetches data from remote server and it displays it in a recycler view, and also we maintain an offline storage for that.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
We have an app that fetches
Mm-hmm.
data from remote location and
Mm-hmm.
displays the data in a recycler view in the front end application,
Okay.
and also we maintain the offline storage for the application.
Okay.
So my question is, how
Mm-hmm.
we will maintain the sync between online and offline storage. For example, if we have a favorite button for each item in recycler view, and user clicks on the favorite button for 100 items. So
Mm-hmm.
and on click of 100 items, user kills the app. So how we will maintain the sync between online and offline data? So no, like when the next
Uh,
time the application is loaded, brought in launch. So how the
mhm.
data is synced in this scenario? How we can
Okay.
achieve that?
Mhm. Okay. So the first thing is for these kinds of thing, just displaying the things. I believe you already know, right? You can use a paging tree library and using the remote mediator to fetch the data from the network, and then what to say, yes, this fetch the data from the network, store it into local device, and then show it to users. Now about the synchronization thing that you have asked, the design patterns or what I have seen in practical applications, let's say Instagram or Twitter, is when you click on, let's say, like or favorite or whatever button, right? So what happens is it first goes to a local database.
Okay.
Let's say if I click on the like button, so what happens is first the local database will be modified to show the updated UI, right? So once the local DB is modified, then it will make a network request. Okay, so what happens is let's say yeah, what to say, so if, let's say if I perform like on a post, so local data will be modified, and then what will happen is they will make a network request. So now what happens is let's say network request fail. Okay, internet is not working, so your local data is updated, but your internet is not working, so network request failed, right? So when you close the application entirely, and when you start the applications again, they will retrieve the data from the network. This could be the case in case where applications is retrieving the application is considering remote data as a source of the truth, and they are retrieving data on each launch. So what will happen is you will see that your post is not liked because the network request was a fail and you have canceled the application. So what you will need to do, you will need to again click on the like button and make so application will be able to make the network request. So this is kinds of the glitch I have seen in major applications as well, maybe Twitter and LinkedIn, I believe. I'm not exactly sure, but this is something I already seen. Okay, so that is one thing you can do. So you can retrieve the data from the network as a single source of truth, and you can retrieve the data every time. Now to answer your question about how to maintain this synchronization, what you can do, one practical aspect I can think of is what you can do is we have a concept of the work manager. You know work manager, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what you can do is and definitely these are the persistent task, sorry, impersistent task, are right, like making a network request. So what will happen is let me tell you from the scratch. So work manager is not defined for just simply making all the network requests, so you should definitely run it on a coroutines. But the thing is how will you make sure that even when the user kill, the network request is in progress, should be completed? So what you can do is you can on activity, we have this life cycle methods, right? On stop and on pause and on destroy, those kinds of things. So what you can do, even if you use a compose, the life cycle methods are there. So you can do one thing is in the your applications on stop method, what you can do, if any network request is going on and on stop is called, your activity is on stop, what you can do, you can enqueue that request using the work manager. Okay, and we know work manager will perform the operation even the application is killed, right? So
Yeah.
on the you what you can do in the on stop, you can check whether any network requests are in progress or not, whether any operation is incomplete or not, and if it's incomplete, you can dispatch them to work manager. So work manager will do it from you even if the user kills the application, so the data will be synchronized. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I believe that answer your question.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. Okay, any more question
Thank you,
on
Rajesh.
yep, welcome. uh, Okay, so what Mayur has sent is, I have over 8 years of experience in Android dev, but the company which I am working and I was work had not worked in Kotlin as they are good in Java for development, not moving to Kotlin. So I am learning Kotlin plus Android Dev, but how to showcase my skill to make a switch, as nowadays most of the jobs looking for experience in Kotlin plus Android, not just with Java. Suggest some app which I can develop and add them in my profile, or like what should I do? Okay, so basically the Maulik's question is he is working in a company in which they are prominently using the Java and not the Kotlin. So this is something a case with a lot of people, which I'm getting messages on LinkedIn that what should we do? We don't have a Kotlin knowledge. So to simply put, Kotlin is essential, right? Because if you are in Android, Kotlin is essential, and almost all the major companies today will require you to have the Kotlin knowledge instead of the Java. If you have Java, is fine, but you should have Kotlin knowledge as well. So what you can do is in your resume. In First, let me talk about the okay. So what you can do is you can try to build some projects that are let's say that are useful as well as important. Doesn't matter whether it's a large or a small. Okay, so you can and you can try to implement it in a Kotlin and then publish it on a GitHub. So GitHub is your primary source of showing your skills, right? If you are a developer, how would I know that what you know? You can just share me your GitHub profile and I can just go through quickly, so I can know that okay, this guy know these kinds of things. Definitely I won't go to each and every repo, but I can have an idea. So what you can do, you can try to publish application. Let me give you an example. You may have asked what types of applications as well, right? So what for that you can pick any interesting problem. I am just repeating this phrase that I used to talk in my every talk. When someone asks, pick any option, pick any problem that is a problem for you and you can solve it is by building an Android application. Let's say for me, downloading LinkedIn videos was a problem because I when I scroll through my LinkedIn feed, I found some lots of good LinkedIn videos, but I was not able to download them. Okay, so what I did, I just built an Android application. It's on a Play Store as well. So I just built an Android applications and that allows me to download LinkedIn videos. Okay, so now these things is built entirely in Kotlin, right? So what you can do, you can build these kinds of projects, whether it's a big or small, and you can showcase them in a your resume, right? In your resume, you can write your open source projects as well. And then when you go to interview, you can tell the interviewer that, okay, my company was primarily working on Java, but I do know Kotlin and these are the proofs, right? Because if you work on some projects, you will definitely have proof. So that would be, I think, sufficient. Because you have no option, right? You have no option in your organization. If you have, then you can simply try. Or what you can do, if your organization is allowing kinds of initiatives, what you can do, you can start an initiative and converting any parts of application in a Kotlin, and then you can showcase this to interviewer. Otherwise, if you don't have that option, you can simply kinds of build open source projects and show it to the interviewer. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Okay, now I had suggested them, but no luck in my current organization. Okay, cool. So if you have, they are like they are hard hitting with the Java, then definitely you can choose the second option, that is building a open source projects with the Kotlin. Okay, now we have question from someone who's I can see some digits 190010. Yes, whatever your name is, you can speak it. Maulik. Okay.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes. First, just tell. Let me your name because yes, you are audible.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah. So my name is Jaideep.
Okay, cool. Yes, Jaydeep.
Yeah, so like I wanna ask, what should one do? Like, I don't see many fresher openings nowadays. So like, what the fresher should do? Because all
your voice is breaking. Can you? Hello? Your voice is you are not audible.
Hello.
You are not audible.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, yes, you can ask now. What you were asking about the freshers? Uh, Maybe he left. Okay, so we have a question from Maulik. Yes, Maulik.
Yeah, like it's a general question, not about Android.
Mm-hmm.
But just wanted to wanted to know from you that like how's the job market currently? Like, is it a good time to have a change, like to find a new job, or like I can see there are a lot of layoffs happening, and
Mm-hmm.
not much hikes are also given because citing the layoffs, companies are not giving hikes as well. So
Mm-hmm.
is it better to switch now because the new company might lay off the new joinees, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what's your opinion on that?
So regarding that, what I have to say is yes, definitely it's a kind of a bit recession time, and whether someone accept or not, the market is hard because I'm in the IT capital of India, right? And if the market is hard here, then definitely it will be everywhere. Basically, I'm in a Bangalore. So what I'm saying is. Market is a bit hard, so what you can do if you want to switch, what you can do is you can continue preparation for the interviews, and then but don't just leave your companies without any offer in hand. What you should do is set up an interview, get the offer letter, and then send the resignation to your current company. Because if you provide the resignation now, and let's say if in a 2 or 3 months you don't get the offer, you will be just sitting at a home, right, without any job, because the market is a bit hard as of now. So definitely it's a better to just have an offer in hand before sending a resignation mail to your current company. And again, finding the job is hard and difficult in these times as well. Let's say previously if you had to send a job letters. I think someone Akshay or someone said this in LinkedIn. Let me just repeat it. That in earlier, if you had to send a resume to 10 companies to get selected for just selected for the interview, okay, not for clearing, just selected for the interview. Now is the time where you need to send your resume to 100 companies, because this is a kinds of a condition that market is going through. So it's a kinds of a tough time, and this is because the inflation that we created, bubble we created, okay. In a COVID times, people got a lots of 200 and 300% of the hikes, and they were working, but that was bounced back. And you can see Meta, Google, Amazon, whatever, they are just firing the people, right, because they have overhired. So this things is bouncing again back, and it was expected, nothing new. Because if you overhire, you will definitely need to fire the people as well. So as of now, it's better to just be cautious, have an offer in hand before sending the resignation mail. And as well as finding job is difficult as well, so you will need to put extra and more effort compared to what you had to put earlier. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, cool. Okay, now we have a question from Tejaswini. Yes, Tejaswini. Hey, you joined the session. Cool.
Hi Rajesh, how are you?
Hey, hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Uh,
Yep.
my question is actually I want to shrink my application, so I'm using a Minify and ProGuard in my application, and
Mm-hmm.
even like I'm keeping the companion and model classes, and like I defined the ProGuard rules in my ProGuard files will be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if I decompile my application, I can see like the few of the classes are there in the decompiled project. So I just wanted to know like what are the things maybe like I need to keep in my like keep ready for not to expose the classes. Like,
So you want to basically shrink, right?
yes, yes, correct.
So yes, so if you use a ProGuard, so ProGuard will automatically do obfuscation. ProGuard won't shrink because it will do obfuscation. Obfuscation is
Yeah,
something I believe you probably know.
yeah,
And
it renames.
yes,
It renames the methods and the classes to very short names like
hmm
A, E, something like not able
uh-huh,
to like
like that.
expose it to other applications, even if they decompile it.
Right, right. So that is what it do. And shrinking. We have two things: minify as well as a shrinking. So what you can do is, I believe you have used a minify option. And if you have
Correct.
not used the second option, that is, we have in a build file, you have something called a shrink resources option as well. So if you have not
Yes,
used that,
yes.
you can. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, actually, I used both actually, Minify and Shrink
Okay.
resources,
Mm-hmm.
and I defined the like ProGuard rules, like which are all the classes I need to exclude in the shrinkage actually, because
Mm-hmm.
some of the data classes, if I rename it, if it renames, then
Mm-hmm.
I will get runtime crashes actually.
Okay, so maybe they are related to Firebase, right? If I'm not wrong.
No, 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 no. Like when if you are doing a network request, you will get the model classes in the response, right? So
Mm-hmm.
those classes, if it is getting referenced in multiple places, like in activities or in fragments and all. So if
Mm-hmm.
it is referencing, if it gets like converted to some other different names, then
Mm-hmm.
it cannot able to like get that object reference, the model reference. So that
Mm-hmm.
time I got the runtime crash. So
Okay.
what I did is I just add the keep annotation for
Uh-huh.
those kind of models actually. But still, I'm able to when I decompile the application, still I'm able to see those other classes which I like. I don't want it to expose it. So anything, any other extra thing that I need to take care of. So I just wanted to
Mm,
know.
okay, so for this use case, I don't have any handy idea in my mind. Maybe we can explore I will try to explore the options, and then I can try to answer separately. As of now, I don't have any idea in hand, because if you are using a program, then it should take care. And if, for the classes that you are using the keep annotation, they are expected to have there. But those other classes that you are not expecting them to expose, why they are there, that is something I'll need to explore a bit more on this, and then I can provide answer.
Okay, okay, sure, sure, sure. That would be a great help for me.
Okay,
I
thank you.
wanted to I wanted to add one more thing to Tejaswini's question. So I was also working on the Dex card. So you are defining like all those rules for those classes, and it's still not obfuscating those classes.
It is obfuscating those classes which I keeping in ProGuard, but some of the classes I don't wanted to expose, so I didn't keep the keep annotation. Like yeah, I didn't mention it in ProGuard rules, but still those classes are exposed actually.
Okay. So actually there is like a file, it's called like I don't remember the name of that file, but like on that file usually you can check like what
Mm.
Dex card is obfuscating, and you can see like those classes are included on this file and troubleshoot using that file, I guess. And there is also like a paid version of the Dex card that you can use, and you can also get a support from their support team.
Okay, 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 okay. Okay, I will check. I will check on that actually. Dex card. Huh? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Thank you, Arpit.
no worries.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you, Arpit, for adding. uh okay.
Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Yep, Tejaswini, you can lower down your hands. Thanks. Okay, now who's next? Shiva. Yes, Shiva, please.
Rajesh, I have one few questions. One is first thing is Jetpack Campus. Look, currently we are using XMLs, right? So how it will be good for next 1 or 2 years to, I mean, transform this XML to Jetpack Compose? Like, what is the exposure and how? I mean, like, which companies are using the Jetpack Compose? That is one question. And second question is how to write design patterns. Like, whenever if you write any code, the most of the persons nowadays are they are writing in a very normal way. Normal way means like without checking without following any design patterns. But what kind of design patterns are available in Android, and how to implement them in current projects? So these two questions I have.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So to answer your first question, on a compose, compose is a see compose is a new, relatively new, as well as that's going to be future, but that doesn't mean XML is going to eradicated soon. Whether let's say in a 1 or 2 years, because take an example from what Mayur asked, right? See, we have Kotlin as an official language for the Android since a long time, right? 3 4 years, but still his company is using only Java because there are some enterprise applications that are built on a Java. So same goes for the XML. As of now, most of the applications are built on on a XML, right? And
Yeah.
For most of the companies, the XML is something they are looking for. Even as of today, they are not specifically looking for the compose. Okay, there are the opportunities that is exclusively for the compose is a very rare, because there might be opportunities, but it's a kind of a rare. What they are looking for is XML. And along with, if you have a bit knowledge on the compose, that is fine, but that is not expected. This is the reality. Compose is not expected from you even today, because if you know the XML well and good, then you are good. Compose is something you can learn and implement later as well. So in 1 or 2 weeks, sorry, years, I am not seeing that compose will take over the XML, because XML is a battle tested, tried and tested. Compose has its own kinds of performance, a bit, not a much, but a bit performance things, because XML is something what to say, your Android device know how to optimize it, right? And Compose is a library, it's not a part of the SDK. So you will
Yes.
need kinds of this baseline profiles, and you will need to set the profiles and all those things. So in 1 or 2 years, I can say that if you learn the Compose well and good, but XML will still be there in I think maybe at least it should be there in 4 to 5 years. And even after that it will be there, but then the priorities will be Compose. But till 3 to 4 to 5 years, if you know the XML, then you'll be able to clear the interview. Okay, so that is
Yes. Thank you.
answer to your first question.
First,
And the sec okay, and one thing, if anyone would like to add anything what I'm talking, you can simply raise your hand, and you can add something on top of that. And other thing is about the design pattern, right? So design pattern is
yes.
not some design pattern, like you have asked when to use. So design pattern is not kinds of algorithms which and design pattern is something you can use when you need it. Let's say, for example, popular patterns are a builder or a factory or a singleton and those kinds of things. So when you need them, you need to use them, and there is no structured format like algorithms. Okay, it's a kinds of just a blueprint. So if you want to create a class, let's say you want to allow the users to create an account, you want to allow the users to create an account where even if user doesn't provides all the options, you are fine with some options. Let's say allow users to create an email, or allow users, I'm just giving an example, allow users to add a mobile number, allow users to do this and this and this, and all those things. So where this is where you can apply the builder pattern, because builder is something you want to allow the users to selectively set some values, and for the other values that user doesn't choose, you are fine with the default values. So this could be an example of the design pattern. And we have another called a factory. So factory is something abstracting away the complex implementation. So let's say in your repository you have some complex logic, that is something you don't want to allow your developers to deal with, they can simply just call your class, and your class should be responsible for creating, performing the complex calculation, performing complex task and all these things. So for that kind, simply you can use a factory pattern to abstract away all these things. So design pattern is something you use when you need them in a certain scenario based options. I guess that will answer your question. If not, then you can elaborate more.
Yes, yes. Both questions are. Thank you very much for clarification. And I have one more question as well. This is
Mhm.
regarding about work manager. So currently in my application, I'm using work manager a lot. So
Okay.
most of the things we are using for camera capture and uploading and compression. So with we are
Okay.
doing this. So that's why we are using work manager. Recently, I got an issue like in work manager we are doing API call as well. In the API call, I'm doing asynchronous API call. So due to this, I'm getting out of memory exceptions.
Out of.
Out of memory, JVM out of
Okay.
memory exceptions. So how
Okay.
to handle this one? And whenever if you're using work manager, if you're handling
Mm.
API request, can I use instead of asynchronous? Can I use synchronous API? Because anyway work manager will run in background thread, right? So is it
Mhm.
well performed? Like how the performance will be there? So it will be
Okay. Okay. So instead of using the synchronous, you can see Retrofit provide a call option, right? You can use the execute function to execute it asynchronously. You can do so, but the better option would be uh, make the network call as a suspended function. And instead of using the extending the worker class, what you can do, you can extend the coroutines worker. So the coroutine worker class has a support for the coroutines as well, right? So just launch your
no.
suspending network call from the coroutine worker instead of a regular worker. So that will
One,
do your
one,
task. Yes.
one second. Currently, we are
Yes.
using a Java application, so I have the Java application as well.
Oh,
So
ho,
that's
ho. Okay, got it, got it, got it. So you are using Java, not Kotlin.
yes. No, 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 Kotlin. Kotlin, we
So
have multiple
the,
applications, so I'm working in multiple applications. So I know Kotlin and Java both. So that's why I just asked.
okay, so then it's fine. Now you can just simply call the call dot execute on the coroutines function call that is doing the network operation, because anyway it's going to run on a background thread. So that's fine.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rajesh.
Yep, welcome. Thank you. And you can yes, now load down the hand. Who is next? Next is Arpit. Yes, hi Arpit. You too join the call, right? Cool. You have any
Yes,
question
yes,
for
Rajesh.
me, or should I have question for you?
No, I just wanted to add one more thing to Siva's question. So
Yep.
first, I wanted to talk about the compose. So basically, I work in the company. So whenever we work on like a new feature, basically we implement like a compose, but we
Mhm.
also have like a legacy code that written in like XML. So in future, what my opinion is like, it should be like it should be good idea to like learn both like XML and compose, so we have like a good power and the knowledge, and companies are also expecting the compose for like a future developer as well. So that's my opinion for the compose view. And another thing that you talk about, like the async operation in the Java application, so there is a executor pool. So I know back in the days when I was working on Java, there is an executor pool that you can change the pool of that thread, so it you won't get like out of memory exception, and you can manage that pool by yourself. So those are the comments I wanted to add, and let's start with my question now. Yeah,
Thank you, Arpit. Thank you very much for your clarification.
yeah, no worries, no worries. So Rajesh, I just wanted to know like
Yes.
if we wanted to implement like a remote config to our Android app, what
Mhm.
are the options we have, and what are like a open source option, like the freely available options? And so if we implement one of those options, then
Mhm.
how we can do like a A/B testing, or how it is easier in one of those options?
Mhm. Okay, so for the remote config, for those who don't know what is remote config, is basically, you may have seen some application, right? Let's say it's a holiday application. So on a Diwali, it will show you some Diwali wallpapers. On a Christmas, it may show you some Christmas wallpapers, kinds of things on a home screen. So remote config is basically your application is configured from the remote server to show some data. So that's what remote configuration in essence is. Now to answer your question, we have multiple options. The first and easy being is Firebase, right? Firebase provide the remote configuration options, and I think it's not available on the free plan. You'll need to, I'm not sure exactly, but you will need to go with the paid plan to get the remote config. Firebase is good as well. Second thing is we have something called LD, Launch Darkly. So Launch Darkly provide the remote config as well, and it's a paid plan. So if you are going for the enterprise, you can go with the LD as well. LD has a good support for the remote config as well. And these are the two things you can explore. And on the A/B testing side, yes, if you use the remote config, that's definitely A/B testing is a good, because you can simply roll out to your features based on let's say users on some demographics or some age or whatever analytics data you are collecting, and then you can roll out A/B testing to, let's say, 20% user, 30% users, or whatever. So definitely that will be a good thing with this remote config as well. And Firebase provide both of these things. For LD, they provides remote config. That is something I know because I've used it. AB definitely they should provide that as well. So these are the options you can explore.
Hmm. Okay, and both are the options are available in both the platform like Android and iOS.
Yep, Android Firebase, for Firebase I'm 100% sure it's available. For the LD is enterprise option, and I've used it only Android. But let me just recall LD, right? It's, yeah, it's available on both platform as well, Android and iOS.
Hmm. Okay, that's great. And one more thing I wanted to ask you
Hmm.
regarding the testing. So
Okay.
currently I'm working on the testing. So what I have is basically like I'm using a flow and fetching the data from the server, and I'm passing that flow to the Compose UI. So I
Mm-hmm.
have that state. So I'm writing the unit test for that view model,
Mm-hmm.
and I write a test for like a success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
So currently what I am getting is like a coroutine timeout exception. So is
Okay.
there any way that I can avoid that?
For the flow, for the testing flow, what I have heard is there is something library called a turbine. Have you used
Turbine.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about it, but like currently we are not using like Turbine, but like Android
Mm-hmm.
also provides some like a documentation to test that flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there is like a, so let's say we have like a four state, right? Like first
Okay.
state is like ideal state, second state is like a
Mm-hmm.
success state, third stage is
Loading
like
and
a
error.
failure,
Yes.
yeah, and the
Mm-hmm.
loading. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing is like, let's say I wanted to test the second state. So what I'm doing is
Okay.
dropping the first element from the flow and testing
Mm-hmm.
it with the second one.
Okay.
So yeah, so that kind of functionality is provided in build. So I don't need like a library for
Okay.
that.
Mm-hmm. But yes, to be frank, I'm not that good much in testing. So definitely I won't be able to answer your question right now. Definitely I
Mhm.
can try to explore it later, and then I can provide you answer. But as of now, I have no things in my mind to answer specifically for the flow. Basic, unique,
Mhm.
and integration in what to say, instrumentation test, that is fine. That is I'm familiar with. But for the flow testing, I'll need to have a look.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rajesh.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Who is next? We have Venkatesh. Yes, Venkatesh, please.
Rajesh,
Yes. Hi.
I have a few questions, Rajesh. First one is
Mm-hmm.
in one of the application I am using the alarm manager with the intent service. I have a requirement every day morning. I have to send
Mm-hmm.
something to users to notify that about
Okay.
the status
Okay.
and all. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
using that. it's working in some devices and all. In some devices that the notification and the services, alarm manager services are not working properly. In some devices it's keep on getting the notification. Even I kill the service also once the notification first is itself is generated. In some devices it's working properly. So do I
Okay.
need to change it into work manager, or which one is the good one?
Okay, so I think you have asked this question in community group as well, maybe, if I'm not wrong, or
No, no.
you or someone else maybe recently asked, and I had asked about what is the. Okay, so what I need to know is on which model it's a failing, this alarm manager, on which model, what was the mobile model?
It was I observed in only Oppo. Another one I observed in the Realme device. These two devices doesn't invoking itself alarm manager.
Okay, so what's
Uh,
happening is these things is expected, right? Because that's why I ask you what device you are testing. Because see what this Chinese OEM does is be it Oppo, Realme, Xiaomi, or Vivo. What this Chinese OEM does is they simply hold down all the operations for the applications that are not in the whitelist. Let's say you won't find any problem with the WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram in this device, right? Because why
yes.
these applications are whitelisted by these OEMs that they are allowed to do any whatever they want. Now they don't know what the hell Venkatesh is, okay, or who the hell you are. So your applications is not whitelisted. So to save a bit of a battery, just a bit of battery on their user device side, they will hold down all the operations that is performed by the application. So your alarm manager won't even work, or even your work manager is not guaranteed to work on these Chinese devices. So that is something either you need to deal with some kinds of a hacky solution, because there is kinds of a I think the hope to find the direct solution is a less on these devices, because this is what something they do at the fundamentally Android OS level. They will just simply kill all the applications that are not whitelisted to save battery. So what you can do is this problem is faced by the load of the application. Okay, and let me tell you one site. Go there. The site name is, I think, don'tkillmyapp.com. Don'tkillmyapp.com, and then you will find the list of the OEMs and the kinds of the things that they are killing. So what you can do, you can probably try to search on the internet that is specific to these applications. I'm not exactly sure what the ways are there to overcome these things, but you this is the things that I told you. You can go and search on the internet how to bypass them.
Okay, Rajesh. I'll
Okay.
try. So in Don't Kill my app in the site, I'm observing some uh, device names and some symbols. It will be giving some solution to particular that device. How to allow the background work and all.
Uh, Definitely. Yeah, they have solutions for these kinds of devices as well. So you can go and try to see if that solution works for you. Let me share that site in here as well in a chat, so others can have a look as well. So this is the site. Don't kill my app. Okay, cool.
Another doubt, Rajesh. Now the
Yes.
compose is more right. So is there any way to easily convert XML file to compose, or we have to re from scratch? We have to rewrite.
No.
Um,
Definitely, you can go step by step. In a compose, we have something called a Android View composable. So in the Android View thing, you can call whatever the XML UI you have, and this way you can convert XML to compose. You don't need to just start from the scratch. But if you can, what I would suggest, if it's a large application, then definitely go by integrating compose one by one. But if it's a small, you can start from the scratch and compose as well,
okay,
because at the later point of time you don't need to convert it to a compose exclusive code, and you can start from the scratch for now only.
okay, okay. Thanks, Rajesh.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are overrunning. I'll take probably one or more two questions. Anyone has any question? If so, yes, Aditya. Yes, let me unmute you. Yep. Yes, you can ask your question now.
Hi Rajesh.
Hey, hi.
Hello.
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Yes, I've written my question in the chat if you can see. I'll add a couple of questions.
Let me check. I haven't done any internship till now. Also, I want to know how
Before that,
much before
I'm an
the.
Android developer in final year, and I'd given multiple internship interviews, up to seven around, and I was not able to get through them. But I have a full time offer, like of around 12 LPA through like on campus, the PSU.
Your voice is a bit breaking. It's not a clear. Can you try to fix it?
So I'm commenting my on my message you can see in the chat.
Oh, okay. Just send it in a chat. I'm an Android developer in a final year, and I have given multiple internship interviews up to seven, but not getting enough through any of them. Though I have full time offer of 12 LPA through on campus in a PSU, I haven't gotten the offer letter. I was looking for Android internship in startups and mentorship on my resume skill set in it. If you could help me with that to do, I also struggle on how to learn. I'm also connected to you via LinkedIn. Okay, cool. Lots of question. Let me go one by one. So if you have you have full time offer, right, on campus, and you haven't gotten the offer letter, so make sure connect with this company from which you have this offer letter. Make sure and ask them, rather request them to provide these things as soon as possible, because nowadays you cannot simply trust without offer letter, and we are seeing this Wipros and all those kinds of, right, they are just withdrawing all the offer letters they have provided. So the first thing you should do is go and ask them, hey, I trust you, you trust me, everything is fine between us. But for the transparency, just provide me the offer letter,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And then we are fine. That is something you need to do first. Second is, you are not getting internship up to seven interviews. That's usual, because not seven, even if you give 17 interviews, it maybe you won't get opportunity, and people are facing this problem as well nowadays. Again, as what I said earlier, the times is tough, so you need to keep trying with more and more companies. Okay, second thing is, I was looking for Android internship. That is something I told you. And mentorship, um, and resume and skill set. For the resume, you have lots of site, and what to say, you can connect with the community members. What you can do, because I don't personally want to have that specific time to go and check it exclusively. What you can do, are you if you are not in our community group, if you are, then good, otherwise you can join and you can share your resume in a community group. You can ask the
Yeah,
peers
I'm
to
part of the community group.
okay, cool. The primary one or secondary, the first or
I
two?
think the secondary one. Secondary one.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Fine. So you can share your resume, and you can ask our fellow developers, and maybe they will review you, review the resume, and they can provide your insight. Or you can DM anyone, and if they have time, they will review your resume to provide some insights on that. And to answer, what is this? I am also struggle on how to learn. That is something, is how to learn, how to answer this, because
Like on the
I
topics and all,
sorry.
like on the topics, what I should learn, like the order of doing some certain things. Should I always pick the project and learn according to that only? Is
Okay,
that always the
okay.
correct path? But I seem to like I did a particular project, but then I some of the features that I implemented, I later I got to know that there is more depth to them,
There is.
and that always happens. Like for example, in MVVM, I implemented multiple things. Then later I
uh,
recognized that I could have made my app better with that.
uh, to make it better, na. Just simply say IT is a process of continuous learning. So what you should do, in my opinion, people have different opinions and others may have different, but in my opinion, what I suggest is learn the basics. Pick one project. A project is something I always put weights on real world projects, whatever, big or small. So pick one project, try to implement it using the technologies you have learned, and then if you find a better alternative, see, the new is not always something you should definitely go with. As of now, you can stick with what you have learned, and if new has some really better value, you can try to upgrade your project to that things as well. So my recommendation is, again, learn by doing. Pick any project and try to implement whatever technologies you have learned it in that project. Make it open source, so if other people are interested, they will create an issue or they will create a PR, so you can get to learn more on that as well. And regarding which topics to learn, just learn, first learn basics of the basics that is required in Android development. Then what to say, yes, then implement this project, and then uh, you can stay active on LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever you prefer, and then lots of just follow the right set of the people that share all these kinds of things, and then you'll get to know. Or you can simply go to developer.android.com and you can see what is the hot trending topics, and if you have time, you can learn that as well. And Arpit, I think, yes, Arpit has shared some roadmaps as well from the Skydo, right? Yeah, he's a great developer as well. You can go through this roadmap and you can see where you are currently at as of now, and then you can continue your journey.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks for the feedback. And I also want to add one more question. Like,
Mhm.
as an Android developer, should I need to know backend? I'm thinking of learning. I started a little bit of Spring Boot. Should I go into depth of that, or should I continue
As
with Android?
So for the Android, the backend is not required. It's not something you should definitely go with. I mean, it's not a requirement, but if you know the backend, then it's well and good, because if you learn the backend, then you will have idea on how things work end to end, right? Let's say if you have some product, so if you are just an Android developer, you will know the user facing part, but how it works internally at the backend level, how the APIs call are handling, all those things. And that is something, if you learn the backend, that would be beneficial as well. So it's not a hardwired requirement, but if you learn, then it's well and good. Any technology, if you learn, it's a well and good, DSA or backend or Android or Node or whatever the things. So for the backend, I would recommend you learn it, okay, because then you will have a end-to-end idea about how a product actually works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rajesh,
Yeah,
for
welcome.
the fine, for
Okay,
the
thank you.
brilliant knowledge.
Okay, so it's 10:22. I'll take the last next question. If anyone has any questions, you may ask. Otherwise, we can wind up the session. Anyone has any question? Mm, Cool. I can. I think Vinith raised the hand earlier, or what? Maybe he lowered down. Mm, Not sure. Okay, so I can see no question.
No, I'm
Mm,
not.
Sorry, Vinith. Okay, I
I
can
said I
see.
did not raise the hand.
Okay, cool. Sorry, thank you. So what Tejaswini is asking is, what is the difference between Ktor and Spring Boot? Again, this is something I've cleared in a group as well. Ktor is relatively new and it's a Kotlin exclusive. SB, that is a Spring Boot, is it was designed for the Java, but it has excellent Kotlin support as well. So if you want, as of now, if you want to build the what to say, production level application, my recommendation is to go with the Spring Boot, because it is better tested. Ktor is relatively new, and not a lot of companies are using it. It's a kind of a new. So if you run into any trouble, you will have a less amounts of the resources to explore. Okay. So they, and for the Spring Boot, you will have lots of resources available on the internet. So for the, if you are just doing for the learning sake, Ktor is fine as well. But if you want to build something, then my recommendation is to go with the SB, because a Spring Boot is a very special framework, especially in terms, it has a good place in my heart. Okay. It's very nice, as well as it has a coroutine support. Even the coroutine support is there as well for the if you want to build the asynchronous reactive web applications. So definitely my recommendation is to go with the SB over Cater. Okay. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, welcome. With that being said, let's wind up today's session, and maybe we'll meet in upcoming weeks. We will plan, but for the next time, maybe we'll plan for the kinds of a LinkedIn live or those kinds of things. So you folks don't need to join on Teams or whatever. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a good night, and have a good not weekend, have a good weekdays. Okay, see you later. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Yep, thank you. Welcome.